Yo, let's go. I hope y'all.
They say he can't, but he can. They say he won't, but he will. He's more than what he has been through. His heart is strong, he will break through. He is able. He is able. He is able.
Well.
Yeah.
We are back. Once again, we are back. We are back. Listen, tonight's topic tonight, of course, we're talking tonight about complications in communicating tonight with our relationships and situations. And how is it that men are different when it comes to having these conversations, and why is it that that men are able to have a conversation and move on? Is it necessary? Does every argument need to be, or should I say disagreement or argument, does it need to have resolve? Or uh, when you're done having the disagreement, do you need to revisit it? What's the need for revisiting? And do men need this? Is this something? What I've noticed that it's a kind of a difference between the way men respond versus women's response. And so why do men have not so much as the same response? What is it about that? So I kind of want to know. I want to know what time it is with that. So let's start off. Cam, give a big what's up to everybody if you could, brother.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing? If you can share this link to someone, we're here trying to help everybody, men, women, just the world. So let's have a good time tonight, and let's keep it clean.
All right. Hopefully we don't get the women upset tonight. I'm really hoping that the women are okay.
Get them upset.
Typically, typically it's a different response. So we're gonna see what happens tonight inside of this talk tonight. So this is a real serious a serious matter. I believe it's a serious matter because it is definitely one of the areas where we differ, from our mate and our spouse, have you. So if that's the case, why? And why does it seem Shaft says he's ready to get them upset this season. So
Brother Shaft.
I'm with you there. Shaft. I'm with you there. So yeah, man. So why is it? Does every argument need to be? Is there a need to have resolve in every argument, in every disagreement? Is there really a need for resolve? And if there's a need for resolve, the other question I would really like to ask for fellas tonight: why is there a need to revisit something once it's done, it's over with, days later, weeks later? Is it a need to revisit disagreements to try to make it right after you've already voiced how you feel? So why is it a need for resolve? So fellas, what do you think tonight? Help me out. Let's talk about this a little bit. How about you, Cam? Let's talk.
Well, we gonna keep it real. Now we know, I truly feel that that it needs to be resolved, but the reality of it, that don't really work in most situations at all, And then as far as revisiting, like I said a couple weeks ago, women like to bring things back up over and over. I'm not sure, but every I don't know why, but it's been like that in every relationship I have been in, So, but I do feel like it needs to be resolved. There are ways, counseling, before counseling, you guys can talk, think about how it was when you first got together, but somehow women speak faster than men. Their tongue moves faster than men. So a lot of times.
Wait a minute. So you're saying, are you saying that? Okay, so so you get in a disagreement, you get in an argument, and you kind of like blow it off. Everybody blows it off. You're done with the conversation, right?
Oh no.
You're saying that you have to have a resolve to every one of those type of situations. Do you really have to? Come on, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's like a twist over your head, man. Because then guess what? They're gonna keep bringing it up. But for some reason, I'm telling you, even although you feel is resolved, they still bring it up, especially when it's heated to the point where you're catching that nerve.
But is that necessary for you as the man in this situation?
No, we're not emotional, man.
Do you?
No, we're not emotional. It's like you okay, all right, done. Let's move on. But for some reason, that's not the way they are built.
I need my ladies to jump in tonight because I want to hear from the ladies a little bit. Let's see what the ladies have to say about that, man. I know that from my experience, women have a need to hear certain things that they want to hear before they leave a situation alone or the conversation is over with. So with that being said, is that the same for fellas? Do guys have to hear a certain thing before they leave a conversation alone, or can a guy just leave a conversation and be done with it? Done with that conversation, whether they hear what they need to hear or not. They've said their part, and they just leave it alone.
Most of the time, guys do, because as for me, I don't like confusion. I like to talk it out and so forth. But a lot of times, sometimes in situations as far as in relationship, sometimes it can't move forward because that's just naturally. Most people can't come to agreement in certain things because they believe in what they believe in. And a lot of times the man might be real strong-headed, the woman might be strong-headed, both of them might be the same, then it might be a soft one, a light one, so I don't know, it's hard. It depends on the relationship.
How many times have you had a conversation or an argument and just for the sake of that argument not being brought up again, you say whatever the person needs to hear so that it can be done?
Oh yeah, and guess what they say? You're just saying that because you don't want to, because you don't want to.
So wait a minute. Okay, so in other words, that what you feel like, is that a form of manipulation from the other side? Like, is it a form of manipulation to nag a person or bring a subject up or keep bringing up a situation until you get that person to say what you want to hear? Is that a form of manipulation? Is that a form of abuse? Like, even is that a form of verbal? Is that a form of abuse in some ways? If it's manipulation,
I think both.
What do you think?
Both.
You think both? See, I would like some females to chime in on this, man, because I'm telling you, if you're not careful, that can be a form of manipulation.
Yeah,
it could be a form. It could be a tactic used to control or to I guess that aggravation until you get your way type of a situation, and I don't think that is healthy.
No, it's not.
I see. Gabriella said both. It's both. It's both. So I believe, in relationships, like I know that, like for me myself, like I can have a conversation or disagreement and I can be done with it when it's done. Like, you know what I mean? Whether I get the end result that I wanted out of it or not, it's done. You know what I'm saying? I could be done with it. I can move on from it and treat you just the same as I've always treated you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if that's so, for me, I mean, how do you feel about it, Cameron? Like when you don't, when that conversation doesn't end like you feel like it should end, what is your response?
Well, like you said a couple weeks ago, if you know your mate, your spouse or whoever significant other, and you know them very well, a lot of times you know to back off and just kind of like wait till when you think is the right moment, and then if you feel it's the right moment, then somehow you try to ease it in and say, like, let's talk, let's see if we could try this again, and which is a respectable way, not waiting for them to do something like, oh, why did you put the soap over here? And then, jump down their throat right quick and to start that conversation again in a negative way.
Right, right, right. Oh, I
That's
see
not
what you're
cool.
saying. So
Yeah, that's not cool.
okay, so you're saying you use something that's small to bring up something that was already lingering in the background.
Right. That's for male. I mean, for male or female, one of them could probably be that way they do that. So with myself, I would just try to sit down or say, hey, let's talk about it, or see if we could go
Is it
about it a different way. Not
is it predominantly men or women, you believe? What do you believe is predominantly men or women
oh man,
that
oh
continue
man,
conversations like that
oh man.
or bring things up later? I mean, I'm not taking jabs tonight. I'm not, ladies, look, don't be mad at me tonight. I'm just really asking some real
All right,
questions. It's
all
a
right.
little probing, but I'm curious.
I'm
Is
going.
that a male trait or is it predominantly a female trait that a conversation has to be brought up until they get their way, or either or gets their? Oh wow, Gabrielle said it's a woman. It's a trait for women.
Right, right.
Wow, wow.
Now, could I
wow.
ask a question?
Go ahead.
Could we ask Gabrielle? Is that because though she is that because this person may feel like because they care, they love you, that's why they do it, keep bugging you, asking you over and over questions
Well, that
about
depends
it.
on the topic too. Now you have to remember,
Yeah,
it could be about any topic. It could not necessarily about health, not about safety. You know what I'm saying?
right, right, right.
But anything, any type of disagreement, you know what I'm saying? If that is done that way, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be because of care or love. But my question, I guess, my thought process really would be, and I'm sorry for interrupting what you were about that. You
Oh
were
no, that's it.
but
That was
my
it.
thought process is, if like what's like, why is that something that female? That's my question is, why is it something that females do? Why is it something like that?
I can't really answer that. A
No, I was
female would
asking
have.
a question to Gabriella.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of
yeah.
asking a question, since we're getting a response from a female, just kind of, just ask, asking that question to kind of see what it will come out to. Is okay. So I see a statement already. She actually said it depends on the situation, and it could also be due to an unfinished conversation.
Mhm.
Okay. So all right. So, and that's kind of like my thought. Like, if the conversation has no real resolve, like say for instance, I feel the way I feel, you feel the way you feel, and now what? I mean, how do we, like, if one person with starts to act a certain way until they get their way, what is the response to that? You see what I'm saying? Like if I say what I feel what I feel, and that's it. You say what you say, and you feel how you feel, and we're both not budging. What's the response to that? Like for men, I know that a lot of time for men can leave that conversation and say, okay, well, it is what it is, and continue like nothing happened, so to speak.
Mhm.
But like in my response, like in my experience, I've noticed that a lot of times a female will change her entire attitude. Like it will be uncomfortable until that conversation, and this is since I've been, this has been since dating. You know what I'm saying? I've always noticed that. So here's a question. So I see another response here, and this response says, to him it could be done, but to her more should or needs to be said. Okay, so help me out with that. So what's the end result? Help me out. What's the end result? What is the end result? What should it look?
Going back to something else, I also see when women, I'm not sure if it's men, but I've seen it and experienced it when someone start arguments and stuff like that. Sometimes it's an escape goat. They're trying to get out of the relationship, spark something because their mind is somewhere else on something else or someone else, and that goes for marriage and unmarried. And I've seen that in the past with friends and myself where that has happened. So arguments. I mean, But going back to your question. I didn't want to forget that one.
Well, I just think that, arguments are inevitable. Disagreements are going to be inevitable no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I believe that we should both respect each other's view. Like if the view is not like your view, it doesn't mean that your view is incorrect or bad. Or it doesn't mean that my view is wrong. It just means that we're two different people, and since we're two different people, we view things from two different locations. So that means that whatever we're seeing, then at the end of the day, that's my perspective. How I regarding upbringing, different things like that. All of this stuff kind of adds in together. And for men, a lot of times, conversations don't necessarily have to have a big resolve. I mean, not every conversation doesn't. I can see like a serious conversation, serious matters, but every conversation for men is not necessary. You know what I mean? They just don't feel that way. How you doing, James? Mr. Woodley, how you doing, brother? Good to see you on the show, man. Good to see you on the show. Let's see. Hold on one second. I see Gabrielle says assurance that both point of views are understood. Both parties may not agree, but make an argument that both persons are understood. So I mean, okay, so in that, in getting the understanding of that, so once we understand, and that's a great response. I like the response, because the thought is, okay, so once we both hear, I hear your standpoint, I hear where you're coming from, you hear where I'm coming from. What if, after hearing where the person is coming from, you really can't receive that answer because that's not the way you see it? You see what I'm saying? And I think that's the big thing about respect. At the end of the day, I think people have to know that you love each other and that you're there for each other, but you're not going to be the same. You're not going to have the same view on everything. And if you don't have the same view, that's okay. Respect whatever your view is. I respect it, as long as it's not tearing me down or it's not something that diminishes or takes away from you as a person. Your respect for you as a person. I believe that whatever your view is, it can be heard and it should be respected, because you're individual as well. That deserves to have a view outside of my own. I think anything else around that is manipulation and control. And when we start manipulating and controlling each other, I think that is a dangerous place to be in a relationship of any type. Because ultimately manipulation and control will take a person to a dark place where they feel they have no identity of their own. They have no person. They can't have a personality. They can't have their own thoughts. They can't have their own desires. That they basically have lost their own identity as a person. So I think that's a dangerous place to be in, because really next step is depression, and then a
Right.
person goes off the deep end because they feel lost in life. And I think that's horrible. I think it becomes a horrible thing. So for men, um now, and this is, I would love for some of the guys to jump on. James, I wish you could jump in. I could easily send you the link to your Facebook if you would like to, or if there's a female that would like to jump on tonight, that would be great. Let's get somebody in on this conversation so we can have the talk. Once again, my boy Rashard, give him a big shout out. He's not in tonight. He has a business to take care of, so he couldn't jump in with us. So we want to give out the chance. So if someone wants to jump in, throw it inside the comment box and we'll pull you up right quick. I can send you a link over and you can jump in on this conversation. James, if you're still there, that'll be good. Gabrielle, if you want to jump in, or Shaft, whoever it is, let us know. Send a link, send your put me on. Just put it inside the comment. Just put a comment there and just say, put me in, put me on right now. So I really want us to be clear, like once again, this isn't necessarily bashing one or the other, but I've noticed the trend with men versus women. And I noticed that most men really do try to avoid having that when the arguments start up or whatever. Most men try their best to avoid arguments. They'll argue, but they don't really want to argue. They don't want to hear it. Like, you know what I mean? So as fast as they can get out of that argument, the better, and so why is it? So I'm going to spin this on you guys a little bit, because now I don't have any of the guys here tonight to start trouble. So I'm just going to ask some questions that might spark some things. But what is it about? There's a power in what we call nagging, right? There's a power in it. We understand it. It actually this is another, and I think it's a tactic. I think it's a control.
Yeah.
I think that's a manipulation tactic as well. If you manipulate, if you nag at a person enough, it will drive them mad. It'll drive them crazy, and sooner or later, they will crack and they will basically give up and basically do whatever they need to do to try to just make the situation better because of the nagging. What were you about to say, Cameron?
Nah, a lot of times men or women who feel like, although they have power, they make more money, more educated, or even if they're not as educated, but they're making money and they have certain control, like to use manipulation, right? And that try to bring fear towards the other person.
Right.
You understand? And that's not cool. But I've seen it on both sides, and it's a hard thing, and then you got to look at the relationships that the person may have had before. Like they might have a guy who never had someone that argues all the time or starts stuff, and then he gets into this relationship where this person always throwing knives at this person, for every little thing they do, and that would drive you crazy. Or it might be vice versa, where this guy, he knows he's cheating or doing something out there that's not right, and he try to distract that woman by doing certain things and getting up. Why didn't you do this? Why are you wearing this? Or why? You understand? So it could go both. To me, it go both ways. Go both ways. So okay. I think it's that they try to manipulate, and I'm going for women and men, because they try to bring fear within that person so they can have control.
And that is ultimately that's really what I think a lot of this stuff boils down to, is a control factor.
Yeah.
And why do you feel like, why is it a need in relationships for a person to feel like they have control over the other person? Like, that is, like, for me, I think it takes all of the fun out of a relationship.
It does.
Yeah. It takes all of the fun out. Because if the other person can't be themselves,
right,
what's the use? Like what's the point of having that relationship if both of you are exactly alike?
Right.
If you know what I mean, like if you're both exactly alike, it's going to be a
Right.
horrible relationship.
You can't
So
flirt. You can't. You know what I mean?
it's
Person always angry, and for every little thing. Yeah.
yeah, it just won't work. It won't work. So I mean, I know I've been in relationships where like every move is like scrutinized, or because you don't do everything exactly like they do, they they judge it. They judge every move based on what they grew up like. They judge every move based on how this happened before in their life growing up. So when these things come about, it's like it makes you start to walk on eggshells. And like, and I know for guys, that's a big word for guys, is walking on eggshells. Like
Yeah.
where they
Oh
feel
yeah.
like every little thing is gonna cause an issue. Like, so you're kind of like you really don't want to like you don't want to talk much, you don't want to have the discussions, you don't want to have you don't want to bring up certain topics and things like that, because it feels like eggshells, like I'm gonna cause an issue if I say the wrong thing, if I do the wrong thing, or
Hmm.
whatever it may be. And so if you've ever been in a situation like that, I mean, how does that really feel like?
Like
Even if
crazy, man.
ladies that are watching tonight, how does that feel to you? You know what I'm saying? Like if you're put on in a place like that. And fellas, you can feel free to respond as well. Um, I see some of the people are in tonight, and but guys, we would love for you guys to put some comments inside the section, like ask some questions, make some statements, give us some answers, because that's what it's all about. Hopefully,
You know.
somebody can look back at the podcast and say, you know what, wow, you know what I'm saying. I was going through some of the same things,
Mhm.
and I've experienced some of the same things, and hopefully something that you could say or put in can help somebody that comes along and read some of these comments later. Go ahead, Cameron.
You know, I had a person one time, whereas when I walk out, we was together, and if I walk out the door, why are you wearing that cologne? Or they told me that their ex-boyfriend in the past used to turn their phone off, and I explained to them the reason why I turned my phone off is because back then the phone was designed a certain way, whereas it charged faster if you turn it off.
Right.
All these little things they would do and say to me, and they'll start an argument. And I'm like, look, I'm not gonna turn my phone off. Keep my phone on just because you want me to keep it on because of your ex, whatever. And
Right.
that made me felt like, wow, I'm wasting my time. This person not trusting me. Why are we even in this? And that's
Wow.
not a good feeling. And then that at the same time, certain things that person would say try to bring me in fear of losing them, and it didn't work.
Right.
Didn't work, man.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I mean. Like that control factor is something serious, man. And a lot of times people put shade on guys and say that guys are very controlling, or they
Right.
try to control. And that's always been like the narrative that you hear a lot. But truly,
Hmm.
I believe that women really do practice. And here I go again throwing darts. And I know somebody's gonna get upset
Yeah,
with me,
yeah.
but I know
Because
some
emotions.
but truthfully, man, I've noticed that females have far more capability and utilizes the control factors more than men.
Yeah.
Um, I believe it's done sometimes in a subtle way.
Hmm.
Then sometimes I think it's done in a more direct way. But I do believe that females have a tendency of exercising control factors more than men do. If you think I am incorrect, please do jump in and
Hmm.
put a statement in. Let's talk about it. Um, but when I think about it, like not only in the areas of like love or sex or whatever, that's a control factor. To argumentatively argument to start arguments, I think that's a control factor. Just to have like certain attitudes to get until the and destroy the atmosphere of a house
Right. Right.
until things go their way, and then
Right.
become better again. That's
Hmm.
another factor. I mean, when you really think about it, man, I really do believe that females have a tendency to use control
Hmm.
in relationships more than men.
And females have certain weapons that they carry, and if they can't beat you get you to subject to that weapon, guess what? They get really hot because it's not working.
Right.
If y'all know what I mean.
Right. So I mean, okay, so I'm surprised. Like, I'm so surprised that my ladies ain't jumped on it yet. But usually they watch and they start throwing stones at us, man. But no pun intended. But really, man, it is a strange place, and I think that the fellas really do. I think that the fellas. Okay, I don't think that the guys really have the best, I guess, communication skills. But I feel like even if you put your expression out there and you explain what you feel, I feel like sometimes that's overlooked, and I feel like sometimes that can be a situation whereas it's like it really does stop a guy from wanting to have input. Like if you say, for instance, okay, Cameron, say for instance, you have this discussion, it's a disagreement, and you feel you're valid. Your spouse does not feel you're valid in your conversation. They see it a totally different way. After saying that, then now he explains where he comes from. It's still not accepted. It's still not viewed as valid. It'll put you in a place where you really don't want to have input.
Right.
Like you feel like your input really doesn't matter. So you kind of go in the shell and you shut down.
Then you don't care.
Yeah. And you don't care. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So basically then you're written off as a person who doesn't have a heart because you don't care about it. Right. But truthfully, it's like a lot of times men are pushed to a corner to where they just give up in trying to put input in. And so that's another one of those things. Let's see what we say. I see another statement popped in on the line. It says, I think that control is based on previous experience, where the person came from, or they could just be crazy.
Who said that?
I make sure that
is true. I agree with that.
That is very true. That is very true. Yeah. A lot of times, I believe it's unresolved internal issues. Even sometimes a person can feel like it's kind of like that stone that's thrown in the crowd. Whichever dog yells, that's the one that was hit with the stone. And it's sort of like those types of things could be lurking, like on the inside, like unresolved issues, situations and stuff. So certain subjects, certain matters hit a certain way, and so no matter how you meant it, it's not going to be heard that way.
Right.
And so a lot of times, like even with the control, that control could be coming from a place of past experiences where instead of being able to receive from you, however it is coming, they kind of they fix it up to where they get the last say in it, and you're going to conform to what they feel. Because if you don't conform to that and you don't do it the right way, don't say the right things,
a slick tongue.
Yeah, if you don't say the right thing, then you ultimately end up you're viewed as a threat of some sort.
Right.
So that's rough. That's a rough situation.
Rough. Then it gets toxic. It gets real toxic.
Yeah. And I was waiting to see if I don't think the guys jump back. I didn't see the guys on there again. But let's see, man, who's with me tonight? I see people in the room, and everybody's just listening, I guess, tonight. I guess everybody's afraid to jump in on the topic. I don't know what's going on.
You need to start some fire.
Yeah. I tell you what, I'm gonna drop this in right quick, and we'll be right back. Hey, it's Thomas Ware here. Go pick up your copy of Reinvention of the Black Man, Declaration of Dependence. It's available on Amazon and Walmart, so get your copy today. All right.
But
Look,
see, could I
go
say
ahead.
something? So,
Yes.
so this goes back to if something don't get resolved in an argument, whatever, and then here comes this woman at the job that you're at, and you could
Uh-oh.
talk to her or someone somewhere or somebody old, and then guess what? And that could go for both sides,
So
you know.
you're saying that, oh man, see, that's gonna open
Man,
up another can of worms. And
yeah, yeah, and it
it,
does.
is that what leads most guys who are kind of like not solid in their relationship to step out? I mean, are arguments or steady disagreements, is that more powerful than physical abuse when it comes to like the fellas like dealing with female? Is an argument or constant confrontation, is that
That's
more?
that's worse. That's worse.
It's worse.
Yeah, because I mean, you could get over uh, physical pain, but still that leads to mental pain. That stuff stayed within your mind, and it plays over and over and over. And especially if you had someone before that did that, you was in a relationship, whether it's a guy or a woman situation where they had someone in the past that argued before did it, and you come into this situation thinking it's all good, and they do it again. For us guys, we shut down. We don't want to hear all of that, man. We like to listen, but to keep going on nagging, that's a problem.
Jeff said something here. He said, to us as men, we don't usually carry stuff. They close their mouth and it's over to us.
Right.
And truthfully, here's the thing. Like I can only speak for the fellows more than anything. For men, in most cases, we love you. We love you. That's it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Argument or not, if we have an argument, it's just like water on a duck's back. It's like, okay, it was an argument. It was a disagreement. Right. Okay. At the end of the day, it doesn't change how I feel. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't change how I'm going to treat you. It doesn't change at all. So when situations like that happen, it's like, okay, well, when the argument stops, guess what? We continue life like it never happened, basically. You know what I'm saying? It might be a little tension a little bit in there, but we can move on without ever hearing that we were right. We can move on without ever hearing an apology. We can move on. You know what I'm saying? Like it really doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because for us, we know what we feel about our spouse.
Right.
And so in most cases, I've noticed it's not the same. You know what I'm saying? It's not that way. Like you can go weeks, a female can go weeks upset, mad still about a disagreement, when that disagreement was something that just, it was just a disagreement. We don't see eye to eye about a situation. But a female can go like, and I'm not saying all females, but a female can go weeks mad about something like that. And so, for me, I believe, like when I said that that's a control factor or control tactic, I think it's somewhat dangerous to a relationship. You know what I mean? I think it's dangerous. Because like I don't know exactly how to explain it, but like I believe that whenever situations are like that, it leaves room for issues, different issues to arise in the middle of the picture. Okay, so I see another female has jumped in. It says, I've been through emotional and mental abuse and physical abuse, but if I had to choose to go through abuse again, I choose physical, because broken bones and bruises heal, for some of the emotional sticks with some of the emotional abuse sticks with you forever. That's true. Absolutely. And so that's a form of that's that verbal abuse, that the emotional phase. It could really take a toll on a person. It can take so you have to be careful. Like words mean so much, and it's like, and a lot of times in conversation, things are misconstrued. You know what I mean? So it's good for a person to state what their thought was behind what they said or explain it. Um, and I believe that's something that's needed to be done. But at the end of the day, I think that we have to respect each other. At the end of the day, you have to respect each other when it comes to what we're saying, what we allow to come out of our mouth. It's so important. So yes, Amy, you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. Yeah, I see you guys. Thanks so much. Yeah, pull some people into this conversation.
Yeah.
It's really a needed conversation. I believe that it's very needed because it's like oftentimes we can make mistakes in relationships, but and other people are making the same mistakes in relationships. But to hear from another person what the mistakes cause, what the mistakes leave people feeling like, what these different topics that we discuss, what's the ultimate outcome on the person that you're with or your overall relationship. If you can't learn anything, one thing I tell you, if you just listen to some of these conversations, you'll see that there's a wealth of knowledge and wisdom that's being put out there from people who have made the mistakes. You know what I mean? And so it helps you not to do the same thing, to go down the same path, because ultimately we want to make sure that relationships last and that each male and female, that we're all able to do better at the end of the day towards one another. Go ahead,
and
bro.
you know what? Half the time, the arguments don't really be about nothing. It don't be anything. And then that the tongue is a dangerous thing, man.
Right.
It
Right.
could be you could kind of twist things because you trying to be vindictive and say the wrong thing and kind of like demean the person by saying certain little things that it's going to hit that nerve, and then it gets bigger, and then it gets greater. Then next thing you know, this person is saying, "Oh, I'm gonna call the police," and this because now you got physical because
Right.
you didn't hit a certain, and that person made that comment before as far as they felt like they rather have the physical part. You don't need the physical or the mental abuse part. You don't need none of it. It's not. It's really not cool.
And that's the thing I think about. Like, I've had arguments before. In those arguments, you say something to someone that you try to cut with the word. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the older you get, and especially when you love somebody, you stop. You know what I'm saying? You learn. You know what I'm saying, that if we disagree, we can disagree, but I'm not gonna use certain words that's gonna just hurt you. Like, you know what I'm saying? To just try to destroy you with words.
Right.
And it's like, really, that's like a mental place where people get in and they're like, I'm going to win this conversation. I'm going to win this argument. You know what I'm saying? But you really don't realize that no one's winning. Like, if you say the wrong thing and it damages me, it hurts me, you don't win. Like, if we don't walk away from this respecting each other, nobody's won anything at the end of the day. And ultimately, that's how you win an argument. You win the argument by both of you walking away with understanding from where you came from and what you meant, and how to leave it where it is. You know what I mean? But it's really terrible when it gets to the point where you have no respect, and the words that come out of your mouth are just like they're careless words that are destroying people in places emotionally, mentally, that they, especially when you talk about loving somebody. If you're the person, if I lay down with you, I'm sharing my intimate time with you, intimate thoughts with you, and building a secure place, a security blanket that says I love you and I trust you. And then what comes out of your mouth is words that are meant to, like, just savage words. It's like meant to destroy, cut you into pieces with the tongue. when you say stuff like that, I just really think that's the worst thing to do. I think that's like the worst place you could be in, because it really does destroy a person. And it leaves them to think about you in a different way. Like, and they really trust that you love them. I mean, what do your kisses really mean? What does your caresses really mean if your words say something totally different from simple arguments? That's like it speaks to maturity. It speaks to a place of what you care, how you care about people, and it speaks about trust. Like, can I really trust you with my life? Can I really trust you out of my presence? Can I trust you at all? If you can let anything come out of your mouth about me concerning me because you're upset with me, I don't think that's a good thing. Let me just read this right quick. I do have something here. It says, Beth says, I have been mentally and physically abused. Now I'm going to stay single till I can trust again. I understand. That's the best place to be in. Absolutely. That's the best thing to do until you can find somebody that you can truly trust. And you've built yourself up to being in a place to where there's no reservations to trust someone. The both of those are like very important places to be in. It technically hurts me to hurt her. Absolutely. And that's how we should feel. It like for me, the worst feeling I ever get in a conversation is when I see my wife upset or hurt by anything that I've said. I think that's the worst feeling to have. And it should be that way. You should have a certain amount of sensitivity for the person that you're with, that when they hurt and you feel like you're the reason why they're hurt, it should hurt you even more.
Right.
So and you want to get it right. You know what I mean? So those are things like, for me, I am cautious about what I say. I'm cautious about certain things that I'm going to say, because I know I don't want to hurt my wife. So that's something that I think is very important to do, is be aware and very a word that I like to use all the time, intentional about the words that come out of your mouth. You can't just use your mouth like a loose cannon. You can't let your mouth shoot all over the place like a loose cannon, man. You got to be intentional about words. If you want to find a person that's immature, if you want to find a person that really does not cherish relationships, you'll find a person that has a mouth that explodes when they're upset. They explode. They say everything they say. The Bible says it like this. It says that a fool, they whatever's coming out of them, whatever comes to mind, they say it. But a wise man waits until after the matter. In other words, a wise person can wait until things cool down so that they can say the right things that mean something. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just letting everything fly off the handle. It's very important. Amy says inside of the writing, she says, I don't have either anymore, thank God. I got out and I have a great man now, but I have been damaged by what I have been through, and it has caused a few issues over the years, because the things I was made to believe about myself are still stuck in my head. Yeah. And see, and even for things like that, in situations like that, you really do, you want to take advantage of those are moments of counseling. Like those are moments where you can utilize counseling tremendously to help you kind of maneuver yourself out of to learn coping skills, not coping skills, but skills to get yourself out of those places of thought whenever you retract to what you felt like because someone else kind of beat you with words, or even if it was physical in the past, where now you can feel better about yourself and develop a better way of redirecting how you think about yourself when you feel yourself going a certain direction. I think that that's very, very important.
The person who was that, was her name Beth earlier, that made that comment before about they want to wait.
That was Beth.
Yeah. So my advice to you, Beth, when you do get to that point where you're able to go back and date someone, don't overthink. Don't dissect every little thing, because people are going to make mistakes, even just in dating. So you can't just say, "Oh man, this person's gonna be just like what I had before." But you'll know. An old lady a long time had told me, man, when it said, she said, when that person come along, there are things that you would actually know and know what road to go down instead of going the old road that you went before. You know,
Yeah.
and I took that, but that's not in every case because people are gonna be people. But
Yeah.
just don't dissect every little thing that person says, or overthink anything, because then you got to remember now the enemy is working. So you might have a good thing in front of you, and then they may say something and word it differently from how you expect, and next thing you know, you shot yourself down of someone that you could have had, for your
Yeah,
future.
I think that spending time with a person is the key. The more time you
Mhm.
spend with a person, the more you know who you're dealing with.
Right.
If you have conversations, have conversations, because what's in a person's heart, eventually it will come out of their mouth. And if you spend enough time, a person can only pretend for so long. That's in the book
Oh
as
yeah.
well. The Pretender. You can only pretend for so long. A person can wear a mask only for so long. Sooner or later, the true person's going to come out. I'm telling you guys, grab that book if you get a
Oh
chance
yeah.
and read it. Ladies, especially ladies that are on the cast tonight. Jonathan Alexander, I see you. You said we have to realize that we are a reflection of one another, and we're supposed to communicate and love each other as such. Absolutely, absolutely. It's like, how people say you are what you eat, and you get what you give. At the same time, what we reflect off of each other, that's what we're sending out. If your spouse is a certain way, a lot of times it's because they're receiving a certain energy from you. So and here's the thing: we have to realize something too. You got to know when you got a good spouse, because when you got a good spouse, you don't want your negative stuff to create something different out of them. So that it works both ways. So like, it could be a positive situation for both, but please know that if we're in a relationship together, and there's a lot of negative energy coming off of one person, that negative
Mhm.
energy can easily create the same thing out of the other person that you're with. I think we have to check ourselves often, man. We really got to check ourselves, and be happy if you got somebody that's honest enough that will share with you that you're kind of wacky, that you're acting a certain way. You know what I mean? We have to cherish that out of our spouse. If they're real with us and they can give us good information, that's great. Um, a loose tongue is what Chef says. Let me read this. Cinda says, good topic for tonight. Okay, absolutely. Yeah, please got to go back and watch it. Go back and watch it, because I'm telling you, at the end of the day, man, we cannot afford to lose good people out of our life. Um, we have to really, like, somebody said, pick your battles. You know what I'm saying? Everything is not necessarily worth fighting about. Like, there's some things, I think for me, I think that's the turning point for me in my relationship. For me, it's like, I know when we have a disagreement, I can leave it alone, because I know that it's not worth becoming any bigger than what it needs to be. And ultimately, I love you too much to allow a argument or disagreement to linger, that's gonna destroy the happy moments. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you really want to build as many good moments, memories as you can, and you really want to set your atmosphere to have more joy than any type of tension. And so if you don't do that, you'll create a miserable place for you and your house and your home and your relationship, however it may be. I see Deidre. Deidre made a statement here. Deidre said, Jonathan, but they don't do that like they talk it. Time always tells. Okay. All right. Let's see what we
Mhm.
got. Hold on one second. Okay, I got Jonathan Alexander did make a response, and I'll read that for a moment. Hold on one second. Deidre. Okay, so this is what Jonathan says. We're holding each other accountable. This is where holding each other accountable comes in. If one resents being accountable, then you know the relationship is not built on truth. This is true. That's true. That is so true. And that's the thing, man. We have to talk. We have to have that communication, and it has to be an open enough communication to where if you give me your thought on me, I should also be able to give you my thoughts about
Right.
you. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so when we're able to receive each other's communication, that's where growth comes from. If I can't give you my thoughts about how I feel you come off or you respond, how you treat me, then guess what? Now we're gonna have issues forever,
Right.
because if you get upset because I share with you how I feel, I view you, I see what you do, how you act. If you can't receive that from me, then how can we grow together? How can we even become one with each other? Because at the end of the day, you see what you see, I see what I see. And so you many times you can't really see yourself. Many times you can't see yourself. So, I may have some things about me that I do or say a certain way that irritates you or you feel tears you down. If that's the case,
Mhm.
then when you voice that, I'll listen to that. You know what I'm saying? I'll weigh that out. I'll try to explain why I do the way I do it and why I say things the way I say it. And then if I see it as something that is hurting you or harming you, I'm going to work on trying to fix that. You know what I'm saying? That
Right.
accountability factor has to be there, and it has to go both ways. If it doesn't flow both ways, then we're back to manipulation again. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
We're back to that area of manipulation where one person wants a certain amount of control over the relationship, and they can never be wrong. And I think for me, that is a place where the relationship is in trouble, and it's only a matter of time before a lot of rocky roads are coming, up ahead because of that. I got something here. Lena says, let me read
Mhm.
what Lena says. She says, but wait, what if there's something on our mind that we need to talk about that we feel is necessary? I think it's fine to have the conversation. And this is the key from what we were speaking about earlier. I think it's fine to have the conversation. If it's something that you feel is necessary to talk about, that's fine. I think the end result is where the problem comes in at. Like, if you bring up something that you feel is necessary to talk about, but the person that you're with does not have the same view as you,
Right.
but you have a certain view, they have a certain view, I believe that the problem comes in mainly where one person tries to force the other person
Mhm.
to comply to their view, like
Right.
to completely be conformed to their view. If
Mhm.
if you can state what you feel is on your heart, and that person doesn't see it the same way, I think at the end of the day we have to get to a place where we can respect each other's view. And
Right.
it's okay to have a view, or you know what I'm saying, or say what you feel. It's just even more important to be able to respect the other person's view if they don't see it exactly like you see it. And that's where most relationships have the biggest problems, when both people can't respect each other, or one person
Right.
can't respect the other person's view. Um, I see you. So Chef said you definitely will not grow um, if you don't want to be held accountable. Absolutely. And being held
Mhm.
accountable doesn't feel comfortable all the time at all. It doesn't
Mhm.
feel comfortable, but that's what growth does. That's what growth does. You at the end of the day, you have to have a heart that says, I'm trying to do what's best for us, not for me,
Mhm.
for us. So that helps to get past the area of, that helps to get past that area of being or feeling a certain way about hearing those words of accountability. You know what I mean?
Right.
Delaney, I see you said something else. You said, but sometimes you can speak too fast in the heat of them. Absolutely. Well, see, that's the thing I was talking about earlier. So we go back to the scripture, and I'm not calling anyone a fool on the line tonight. Please understand that. But scripture says that a fool utters everything that's in their heart in the moment. In the heat of that moment, a fool will say everything that's on their mind. But a wise man will hold their tongue until after the matter. They'll hold their words until after
Right.
the matter. And I'm kind of paraphrasing that the way that it says it. But what it's saying is basically that's where maturity comes in. Maturity comes in when you learn that, I've said too many times something when I'm in a heated moment and it caused me to hurt somebody, or it seems to be rocky and bad. So we get in a mature state where we say, you know what? Instead of me blowing off the handle, I got to approach this different. If you see it getting loud and out of hand, bring it back down a notch. You really have to be intentional about what you say. And if you're not intentional, you will harm your spouse every single time, because words, I mean, your heart will deceive you and you will slip and say some stuff that just damages the other person, all because of an emotional moment. But words are hard to be taken back. You can't take words back as easy as you throw them out. They go out easy, but it's hard to get it back afterwards. And a lot of times what comes out of our mouth, man, is really what we feel in our heart. And so we got to search a lot of those things out. The center says we also must understand our own feelings first. Right. Absolutely. Before you can express your feelings, you have to know what they are. Feelings can be hard to express. Finding a way to express them is the key. Absolutely. Sort it out before you say. You know, it has to be a conversation. I keep saying this, a mature conversation. Maturity is like one of those places that's the hardest place for most people to arrive at, because it causes you to become selfless in the middle of things. You don't look to win the argument. You don't look to win. Again, I'll say it. If we're not both walking away with understanding and respect for each other,
no one wins. Yeah.
No one has won anything. Winning an argument is for children. So when you try to win an argument, you use any words you can to shut the other person up, because because ultimately the truth is you just want to be heard. You want to be right and you want to be heard. So you use whatever words it takes to shut the other person up. And to you, it sounds like a win. So we can't approach it from that angle. Go ahead, Cameron, before I read another.
And two people screaming at each other. Most of the time, they're not hearing each other at all.
Not at all.
so it's not like you get nowhere.
Not at all. Deidre says, nice platform. Thank you so much, Deidre. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Deidre.
Share this. We're on every single Wednesday night. So here we go. Responding and not reaching is hard. You're correct. Absolutely. I'm not reacting. I'm sorry. It's hard. You're correct. You're correct. But that's practice and timing. It takes time and it takes practice. But once you have encountered it enough and have practiced it enough, when you practice it enough, it becomes natural and it becomes a lot easier. We don't always get it right, but it's guaranteed that you'll cut down on the error a lot. You know what I'm saying? Human side of us sometimes just blows up, but we have to know, and a lot of times we have to say what's on our heart before it gets to the point to where you blow, and have that conversation ahead of time. Just respect each other. I keep saying that because that's so important. I see Marilyn has jumped in. She says, hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm late on the, you've been recouping. Okay. I see you. I see you. You must have been relaxing too hard then. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're back on point tonight. All right. Let's see. Delana says, okay, when you're wrong in that moment and you know you're wrong, do you apologize or do you just let it go? Well, if you know you're wrong, apologize. But here's the key. Stop and apologize if you realize, wait, I was wrong. You should do that. You know what I'm saying? Defuse this situation and look, let me just explain what I was thinking, what I thought, or what I meant, or whatever. Apologize if you said it wrong, if you said it and it was wrong. So I think that is always a good thing to practice. There's nothing wrong with that, and it also goes to prove that it's not about you.
Right.
Ultimately, you're showing that it's about us, not about you.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And that's what that is. It means a lot. It means a lot. Let's see. Deidre says wanting to have the last. You're right. Yes, it's too many people that want that last word,
Mm-hmm.
and it's too many people that really want to be that refuse to be wrong or refuse to compromise in any way. And so we have to always remember that, look, we are two different people.
Right.
We're two different people. We were brought up different, raised differently, been taught differently throughout life. We're going to view things differently a lot of times. If we were exactly alike, this would be a boring relationship.
Sure
But
will.
because we are not exactly alike, we got just what we need to continue this journey together. We just got to respect where we are, where we came from, the way we've been taught. Respect the other person, and where we hurt each other out of what we were taught or how we were raised, we learn how to deal with each other better. You know what I'm saying? We just fix it and get it right. Because if we never get it, if we never work on ourselves,
Mhm.
then we can't possibly work on the relationship. I believe that working on self is the key to working on the relationship. You know, so we sort those things out, and you have to be able to receive. So look, let your spouse have the freedom to call you out when you're wrong, when you do things that hurt them, when you do things they don't quite understand. Let them have the freedom to have a voice. And when they have a voice in a situation, you can fix things a lot better. Cameron, were you about to say something?
Yeah, you know, and it depends on what it is. You know, you could sit there and say, let me try your way. Let's try it for a little bit, and then let's try the other way. You know, and then sometimes that works. But I'm old school. I myself would like to get back to that pillow fights. You know,
Mhm.
you know, where two people just fighting, like you see. I guess people look at it as TV, but it works. It's like flirting, you know.
Right.
And but we need to get back to the old school way of how we handle things, you know.
Yeah. Let's read what Yacinda says. She says, when someone has passed away, the last thing that that person and I spoke about is a stuck memory for me.
Hmm.
Stuck memory for me, make it a good memory, right? True. Life is too short. What do you
Too
want
short.
to be remembered saying last? Remember those last words will echo for those remaining. Absolutely. Well, see, and that's the thing. That's a big thing for me. Is like, is this an argument or disagreement that needs to linger?
Right.
And this is why I don't understand lingering things. Like, okay, so what? We don't see eye to eye. Leave it alone. If it's done, it's done. You know what I mean? We don't. It's not hurting you. I'm not hurting you. You're not hurting me, and it's not disrespecting each other. We just don't see a certain thing eye to eye. I believe at that point you don't let things linger, because at the end of the day, if something happens to the other person, what would you really be stuck on that argument? Would you really be stuck on that disagreement? And
Right.
those are the things that I think about, because it's like you don't get a second chance when something happens to the other person. That's it. So you know, love each other, and I think love is one of those things. It's better shown than said. And I believe a great way that love is seen is by how a person holds on and lingers to negative things. I think if people really love each other, they try to build as many good moments as possible, and they try their best to leave an impression on each other that makes the day better and not bitter. I think that's
Right.
something that you have to remember when it comes to love, man. Love is serious, man. Like, this life is all you got, and having a person that really can uh, dwell with you, company. You know what I'm saying? Like, that person that you got, that's your friend, that's your lover, that's your friend. Cherish that. Cherish it, because at the end of the day, you're hardly gonna find somebody who loves you the same way. And so try to figure out the best ways you can to resolve matters and not destroy each other, because I'm telling you, man, relationships, people throw away relationships now as if though they can start over and that's like the big
Right.
word out in social media and everywhere. People have the statement and the mentality how easy it is to get another, when you've spent time with somebody. And I think we said this before on another podcast. When you spent time with someone, the last thing you want to do is lose the time you've invested to try to start a new relationship with someone that's a total stranger. It's the wildest thing I've ever seen in my life, and you can't get time back no matter what. Let me read this other one right quick, Cameron. Jonathan Alexander says, this is a right now conversation. Lord knows I need to hear this. Had a conversation on this today. Absolutely. And I just wanted to go ahead, Cameron, go ahead and say what you're going to say, and I'm going to go back to that thought I was just in.
No, just going to say right quick, another thing we haven't talked about, arguing around kids. A lot of people have kids, and that damages your surroundings. If they hear you arguing, the way you come off with certain things, that's not good, And so that's all I had to say. We haven't talked about that.
And you know what? The thing is, and this will go to show like even how powerful our connection is to each other and in relationships, because even if the argument does not happen in front of children, there's a certain energy left in the house, and the children will know that there's something wrong from the energy, the vibe that's there. And so we have to realize that that's the same energy that we put off in our atmosphere for each other. So once the room has been saturated with that negative energy, it is very hard to bring that back down. So this is why I say it's so important for you to learn the coping methods. How do you diffuse the argument? Like for me, I'm a jokester. So, I'll tell a joke. I'll say something that's completely off the wall to try to divert this conversation, try to just bring a little edge off of it, whatever I can do. Because at the end of the day, it's necessary, because that energy that you build up from that negative, that sets your day. Sets your day. I mean, when you both leave home, go your separate ways, you just set the tone of your day. And you don't want to have a negative day. You don't want to have the atmosphere in this. And I'll tell you this too, and this is very important. The enemy really does work. You said something earlier about this, Cameron, but the enemy really is smart and clever. It'll be those specific times when you leave home with that negative energy. That'll be the time when you get tried at the grocery store.
Oh yeah.
You get tried at the gas station. You get tried wherever you go shopping. All of a sudden, these strange encounters happen. All of a sudden, where you try, because the enemy knows that now, okay, home is not right. It's negative vibes. Let me send somebody that direction that seems friendly or sweet in some way, shape, or form to try to make them feel like, hey, it's better somewhere else. This is why you can't build a reputation between each other off of arguments and disagreements. Ultimately, it will wear on you. It will wear on the way you feel. And you don't want that to happen to each other. You really don't. You want to leave home happy. You want to leave home, can't wait to get back.
Yeah, and a lot of times when you argue, it's bad when you hit the corner and you see your door, your house, and you don't want to go in because of argument. That's not a good feeling, man.
Yeah, it's not a good feeling at all. It's not a good feeling. I got another word here from Yacinda. She says that your tone and body language are big factors when communicating. Your energy and vibe can make the light switch flip real quick. Absolutely. That energy it can really be felt. It really can be felt. And I tell you that as long as, at the end of the day, as long as this is where we have to resolve this thing. This is where it has to resolve. Do you love me? Do I love you? Is this relationship, is this conversation, this argument or disagreement, is it so big that it's about to ruin us? Can it ruin
Right.
us?
Right.
Can it? If I love you and you love me, is this argument bigger than our love?
Mhm.
That might sound a bit corny, but that's some real talk. Is
Right.
this bigger than our love for each other? And if it's bigger than our love for each other, then we don't have nothing.
Right.
That's real talk. So,
Mhm.
so if it's not bigger than our love for each other, and I know at the end of the day, you ain't going nowhere, and
Right.
I'm not going anywhere, let's
Let
just
it
squash
go.
it. Let's just let
Let
it
it
go.
go.
Let's squash it.
Let
Let's
it
let it go.
go.
It's not worth continuing. It's not it's
Mhm.
not worth continuing. And I think the big thing for me, and this is something that I've always believed, is that if you love me, you'll defend me.
Right.
And when I
Right.
say that, this is what I mean by that. If I make a statement that comes off on you the wrong way, I feel like if you love me, before you let the enemy make you think that I've meant it in a way that's gonna destroy you, I think that you should defend me and say, I don't believe they meant it. I don't believe it was meant that way. And
Mhm.
then the question comes, did you mean that this way? A
Right.
lot of times we can jump to a conclusion that a person
Mhm.
meant it a certain way. And that
Right.
causes a fire to go through the entire house, when really all it is a matter of defense. Defend
Mhm.
who you love. Defend that person. Say to yourself, look, if if this is a situation where it could have been taken either way or meant any, I'm gonna defend you. I'm gonna say I don't think they meant it that way. I don't believe it was meant to hurt me. And if I do feel like ultimately, okay, I'm not sure, I'm gonna ask you the question, did you mean this like this? What did you mean? Get
Mhm.
clarity on it before I blow up and get mad and we start yelling at each other. Let's have that conversation. That's what I was talking about when it comes to maturity. Maturity is important, man. Oh, I see it. I don't have to go or come to here. Let me put this up. To maturity level to where we don't always react to negative reactions from our spouse. Yeah, we have to get to that spot. We're together. That's the name of the game. We are together. I didn't marry you for no reason. You didn't get
Right.
married for no reason. You didn't get married just to tear somebody down.
Right.
Now, granted, there are some people who they really don't have any form of respect, and they got married for all the wrong reasons. But truthfully, when you got somebody that you know loves you, you know that you didn't get married just to tear each other down. So why make it a habit? Why make it a practice? Why manipulate each other? You know what I'm saying? Why try to
Mhm.
control each other? Respect each other's stance, where they're from, how they were brought up. If you can respect each other and realize that we're both going to have different views, different thoughts, but at the end of the day, we're together. When it boils down to that, I believe that we have ourselves a situation that can grow. But if we can't come to that term, then it's going to be a really hard future in that relationship. I know we're getting close to time for us to jump off of this live feed. So we got one more. Let me read this right quick. It says, what to do if you have a partner killing themselves with drugs and alcohol, and they don't want to hear you or receive words of wisdom after they are sober. I believe that the best thing you can do is not to respond to that person with a forceful attitude. I think the best way you can do it is to use love tactics to show them how much you would miss them if they were gone. Show them how much they mean to you and how it would hurt you if you lost them to these type of situations. And then let that love direct them to get help. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
it
Saying
has
need
a
help.
gentle way
Mhm.
of love. It cannot be in a form of force. If you try
Of
to
course.
force
Right.
them, they'll fight it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Whatever those battles are, they're gonna fight it. Because you have to realize that drugs and alcohol is mostly an escape to get away from the pain that they feel
Right.
somewhere in their life, maybe something from the past. These are ways that they use to get to escape pain. So the last thing you want to attempt to help with force, because that's like adding pain to it. So what you want to do is use love, just like Jesus said, with love and kindness have I drawn thee. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same way with this situation. A person has to be loved into a better place so that they'll hear love much better and kind words much better if they can see how much it's doing to you. That'll tap into what's needed to help them head to a rehab or getting in a better place to start working on it. I think that's the best way to attempt that. Um, Difficult. It is very, very difficult. Difficult matter to deal with, and I believe that that's one of the scariest. I believe like one of the scariest areas, um, and it's going to take a strong spirit for you to have to be able to walk through that fire. Um, and so, or whoever it is, for them to walk through that fire. So I would definitely be praying, um praying for whoever the person is, praying for that person. And that's the advice that I would give, that they, use love to do that. So yeah. So listen, guys. Absolutely. So listen, this has been a great talk tonight. This has been a great talk. I know it's about that time for us to jump off. Please share this with somebody as you get off. Go to our YouTube and subscribe on the channel as well, on the YouTube as well, so you guys can continue to get the alerts when the new episodes pop up. You guys have been great tonight. I see you, Yacinda. She put in a word here as well. She said, unpacking what is hurting them. What is it that they are trying to mask? Getting through those one step at a time. Absolutely. Because you do have to realize that alcohol and drugs, all of this stuff really is a way of coping. People
Mm-hmm.
see, and this is why I'm so big on the mental health thing right now with faith and mental health, because it's such a big matter. Um, we can know God in different ways and different things like that. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that people have went through that they never talked about. There's a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
that they just kind of covered up and thought they coped with it, dealt with it, they were beyond it, but didn't know that it's eating them alive from the inside. And so they start to use different things to try to pull those strongholds down through the form of substances, and try
Right.
to find peace through the form of substances. And so
Mm-hmm.
when it gets to that level, it's hard. So yeah, you have to get to a place. That person may just need to have some counseling sessions where they
Right.
can talk about their life, where they can talk about what they've been through and really pull layer off after layer, and finally get to a place where, absolutely, Jonathan, right, renew the mind. They finally get to a place where the mind can be renewed. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you really can't renew something until you tear down the old. You know what I'm saying? You can't refurbish a house until you actually pull the demolition guys in, tear all
Right.
the walls out, rebuild everything that's in there. It's the same way with the mind. And when you're going through, and a lot of relationships deal with this, not just from a drug and alcohol standpoint, but also just getting into a relationship with someone, and you know that you already have all this trauma from your last relationship. So a lot of the arguments, we beat up each other not because the person you're arguing with did something to
Right.
you, but because you've had experiences in your past that you just have not dealt with. It's so deep. It's so deep.
Right.
It's so deep. So it takes time. Yeah, if the person does not want counseling, you may just have to, whoever it is, may just have to sit down with that person and have deep conversations. Sometimes we don't have deep conversations. We have conversations, and but we don't dig. Like, talk about how you grew up. What are some of the experiences you had that treated you a certain way? And you're right, Yacinda. Don't try to answer anything. Don't try to fix anything. Just listen. A lot of times when a person unpacks all of the stuff that's happened in their life, the trauma and the things, they are actually healing themselves a lot of times because they're hearing for the first time verbally what they felt the whole time. So as they unpack and take these things off of them, they begin to realize that this is why I did this. This is why I used to do this to cope with this. This is the reason why I couldn't have a good relationship before, because I was running everybody off because I was hurt from this. So those are some of those things, and that's what I believe, especially for relationships, man. That's what we're meant to be to each other. A safe place that we won't judge each other. We won't take each other's business out to other people, but we have those conversations that heal each other. It's not good for man to be alone. I want y'all to hear that tonight. It's not good for man to be alone. It's a reason why we have each other. We have each other because we're both broken. We both had things happen in our life, and we now come together. And now that we're together, let's have these conversations that heal each other. Because man, when we can heal each other, you're right. Trust comes. You're right. You're saying that trust comes at the end of that. So guys, we have to get to that place, man. This is a deep moment. I really enjoy you guys tonight, man. This has been a great podcast tonight. Cameron, you had something you wanted to say right quick, brother?
Yeah, I want to go out on this note. Instead of numbing the wound, reinvent your relationship by working on you first, and things should come together. Put God first, but that's the way of reinventing yourself. Look within yourself, and then you see where it goes from there.
Absolutely. Listen, guys, it's been a blessed night tonight, guys. It's been really good. Please subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Please make sure you're on every Wednesday, 7:30. We're on He's Able podcast show. Guys, thanks so much for jumping on tonight. Love you guys. I'm glad that you guys took the time out to just drop a lot of comments on here and talk. Man, this is a great conversation. I really don't want to stop it. I know that it's going to bless somebody, man. It's going to bless somebody. Share this with somebody because it's going to bless somebody. Trust me. Somebody can be healed through these conversations tonight. So until the next time, guys, we love you. We out of here.